3, Engine 1, Engine 7, Rescue 9, Medic 10. Right here overall, he fell approximately 40 feet, and he is conscious and breathing. Henry 1 is going to be responding.
So Sergeant Ed Wilkinson was flying his own personal helicopter. That evolved into the sheriff's office in the early 70s, purchasing a Bell 47 helicopter, and then that was kind of the beginning of our aviation program. Our primary function at Henry 1 is law enforcement. That's the bulk of our calls, between flying air patrol and just, general law enforcement. That's primarily what we're doing. I think what we're most known for in our area is our rescue capability. Again, we employ a long line, we don't hoist here, and we do a significant number of rescues, especially for the Bay Area at large. Doesn't have a lot of rescue platform helicopters, and so not only are we responding to calls within our own county, but we're responding to other areas of the North Bay, northern region of the state, and the Bay Area. Our team is made up of a lot of different disciplines and professionals, and something that kind of differentiates us, I think, from other units is that we take professional pilots, we pair them with cops, and then we also bring on professional firefighter paramedics. We're not really cross-training anyone. Because of some of our history here, especially with deputy pilots in the infancy of our program and some unfortunately fatal crashes we had, and some of the rescue techniques we do, specifically with the long line and the areas in which we're operating, whether it's big trees, the surf, we like to bring pilots here that are professional. And when I say professional, we need them to essentially have a career, typically in the utility industry with a long line. What we need from the pilots is that professional background so that when they're operating on our helicopter, we're not teaching them the techniques. It's already something they've essentially had a career in, and they're doing this. Our flight officers, they're all deputy sheriffs within our agency, but the expectation is the flight officers we bring on board to Henry 1 are typically very seasoned veterans from our agency. We have a decently sized agency, so we have a couple hundred people we can pull from. A pretty competitive process because there's nothing not cool about flying a helicopter. So we have a lot of interest typically when we open positions. When it comes to our paramedics, the unique part of our program is that our paramedics are not cops. They're typically full-time firefighters, variety of different Bay Area agencies, and they work on the helicopter on a part-time basis. So their full-time job is as a firefighter, but they're on the helicopter as a part-time paramedic.
The best thing about this job is there is no typical day. Any day can be varied between law enforcement, rescue operations, fire support operations, or all of them. So the 407 is ideally suited to the vertical reference long line, commonly referred to as short haul, that we do as our main rescue technique. The narrow body enables you to get out the door and look down, provides a really unobstructed field of view for the long line. And it doesn't really matter whether we've got the 100-foot line on or the 200, it's easy to see, and it's very responsive. Its rotor system is very stable, and that enables us to complete the rescue missions that we do.
As a TFO, or tactical flight officer, I'm basically the mission commander on the ship. I decide whether we accept missions, when we get calls for service, as we're flying, I determine what we're gonna respond to. I have to deal with all the law enforcement, fire radios, so I'm coordinating with the law agencies and the fire agencies and medical agencies on calls. As the basic rescue technician on board, I have to do the long line rescues. I'm the one at the bottom of the rope if I don't have a paramedic. We have such a big scope of what we do: law enforcement, fire, medical, and then search and rescue. The challenges of it are you have to learn so many different disciplines. And being a deputy sheriff, a law enforcement officer, prior to coming up here, my scope was I handle law calls. Well, now I have to, talk to fire agencies and medical agencies, and then also as a flight officer, we're sent to EMT school. So we have to maintain an EMT certificate and be EMTs on board. So we have a medical component to every mission. So if I don't have a rescue paramedic, I'm able to provide medical assistance to somebody, usually in very rural areas by myself.
Because of the dynamic nature of the calls that Henry 1 performs, the crew is often having to switch up what we're doing. So we can be on a law call chasing a bad guy or a pursuit of a vehicle that turns into a footbail, and right at the end of that, an ocean rescue comes out. So we're going to race out to the coast. It's only a 6 or 7 minute flight. Along the way, the paramedic's going to get changed into their wetsuit in the back of the helicopter. So once we get there, we're ready to go. Then we might rescue someone and need to transport them to hospital. So we're going to convert the aircraft to its medical transport configuration, hook them up to the medical equipment that they need, and transport them to the hospital. When we recover from the hospital, we might only be back at the hangar for 10 minutes, and a fire breaks out and we're airborne either mapping it or supporting it doing water drops. So we're constantly changing up what we do. But one thing that never changes is the fact that we operate as a crew and all work together to achieve the outcome.